Oh my God!
Oh, hey, Wendy, how are you?
I caught you playing air guitar.
I was rocking out.
Oh my God, that's so amazing! Look at your hair today. You are just so rock star. May I see your shirt? What does your shirt have on it?
It's rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Baby. And I wore my rock star, my beautiful star given to me by Nick Lyon. But of course, Rocky is a rock star. So, we're all about rock star here today. I am Wendy Stuart, and this is
Tim Moss.
Hi, everybody.
We have a wonderful rock star, Rocky Kramer, who's going to be coming on in a few minutes. So that's why I'm rocking out today.
No, it's like I've never seen this look on you. Of course, when you came to my birthday party Sunday, you were coiffed quite a bit differently, Tim. You had it like the whole side thing. Yeah, it's very Veronica Lake when you do that. I wanted to tell you, you remind me of Veronica Lake.
So happy birthday, darling. Again.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And as everybody knows, my birthday was January 15th, but we are continuing to celebrate, and we have to all celebrate our lives, our birthdays, and the joy of just being here. I had such an incredible birthday week. I want to give a shout out here to Brian Sebastian, who had me on his show, Movie Reviews and More. And of course, when I'm on Brian's show, we always talk about the more. And Lady Clover Honey was on my pandemic cooking with Wendy, and we of course had a great time. We're making reindeer cookies, and I was on Lady Clover's show, which is called Clover Culinary, and can she cook? So things have been, considering we're in a pandemic, we're doing fun things. Tim, tell me about your week.
Last weekend I was on Richard Skipper's show. Richard Skipper Celebrates. It was amazing because he's had his show for a long time, and I've been an interviewer myself, and so I got hair everywhere. But he had me on his show. In the first half hour, he interviewed me, and the second half hour, I interviewed him on his own show. It was fabulous. It was so cool. And then
I think that was so cool that it was the chemistry between the two of you, because you go back a bit.
Yeah, we've got history together. But then on Sunday, we all got up and we went to cafeteria on 7th Avenue and 17th Street here in New York.
My birthday brunch.
Birthday brunch for the fabulous Wendy Stuart here. And it was so much fun. Oh my God.
We're going to do it again, because what could be better than meeting with all your friends who, all of us, let's face it, at this point, have cabin fever. And, we were safe. It was outside. There was heat. There was ventilation. And we were crazy. We were absolutely out of control. Thank God they had us like at the end of their whole display, because we were completely out of control, which is how we like to be.
Exactly. And that's a perfect segue into our wonderful guest today. We have with us basically a rock star from Norway, the one and only Rocky Kramer. Come on in. There he is.
And happy birthday, Wendy.
So happy to have you here with us today. And I have to say, your background really, it just enhances everything you are. Yeah. You must have had an amazing designer come and do that specially for our show.
That's right. This is the Rocky Kramer world, and welcome.
And so now you're coming to us from LA today, right?
That is correct. I'm in LA.
Oh, okay.
And how are things going in LA? I hear they've gotten a little bit better, right?
Well, if I guess we can say that the numbers are going down, and restaurants can open up again on Friday, at least.
Good.
Rocky, that's huge. Yay.
Except, right now it's freezing. So why would you want to sit outside?
Yeah,
right. Okay, Rocky, you need a little more hair. Go there with me, because we're in New York. Tim, he's complaining. Here, we're in New York. We are really cold here. What is freezing to you in LA? I'm curious.
Well, okay, so keep in mind, I'm from Norway, so real freezing is actually like really cold. But here, it's interesting, because once you get used to it being 70 or 80 every day, even when it's in the 40s, it's cold. It feels cold because the houses, I don't think they have the same it's not. It doesn't have that insulation, so it's just
Wow.
it gets cold at night, so you have to have some heat on. So
Well,
I got a
that's
little heater next to me.
Yeah, I've heard it's been getting down in like the 40s there.
Yeah, it's unusual, and it has rain. Believe that it rains in California.
Exactly where you come from, coming from Norway, you have like things like I'm going to say this incorrectly, fjords. Did I say that right? You have glaciers.
Very good.
Okay, glaciers. I know a bit about Norway. You have fjords and glaciers and things there. So have you been in LA a long time? I guess, huh?
I have. I've been here. Actually, let me see. What year is it? That's the question we ask ourselves these days.
I don't even know.
2021, finally.
Getting close to 10 years, actually, in this September. Wow. So it's been a while, but I was in Norway a month ago, so actually just like 3 weeks ago. So I still go there. I'm still there a lot. It's just now it's a little bit tricky because of traveling and everything, but I love it, and it's a very unique place. It's unlike something you've ever seen. So being in LA is different.
Beautiful. Now, what I find interesting about Norway that a lot of people here don't know, it's got a major music scene.
Yeah,
it's known for that. And there's a big festival that you all have every year. I forgot the name of it. I know people that go to it from the music industry.
Yeah, we have a lot of festivals. Some good ones. Like we have one that is in Trondheim. We have kind of like a festival. Like Norway is kind of, it has a Saint Olav, and that is sort of the eternal king of Norway, he was a saint back in the year 2000 and or in that era, and the Viking era. And basically every year there's a big I think it's about a week-long festival, and there's a lot of big bands and a lot of music and all kinds of stuff that happens there, celebrating St. Olav and just Norway in general. But there's a lot of stuff, a lot of music. There's festivals going on all the time, all in the summer, all except last year, of course. But just always something going on. It was always fun to play places because, unlike LA, where people only will go to see you if they know who you are, in Norway, people will go to a concert just because it's a Friday night and they just want to get a beer and go see somebody.
I'm loving Norway already.
It's fun. It's fun. So, like my first show at a club, outside of playing at a schools and all the things that you do because you're in school and everything, actually playing at a club, I was 13, and we're playing for a full audience because they're there to just to rock out, and they're not there for us, but people discover you that way, and it's pretty cool. Here you can, even though I haven't, you can play, and I've seen other people play for 5 people, and that's a little bit sad.
Yeah,
too much work into it.
I agree with you, though. That is something that I would say the thing in the United States, I feel, right, in the entertainment industry, everybody can do everything here. Not really, but everybody thinks they can do everything here. Right, exactly. Places like Norway, they are more manageable, right? And you just brought up a good point. People will just go to rock out on a Friday night.
I love that.
For a good time, right, Tim? It's so like our kind of head, and just to really have a great time. Now, it's interesting to me, your background. When I was reading about you, you started on classical violin.
I did. So, and the reason for that is because my father, technically, both my parents were classical musicians. So my father was a violinist. He played first violin in the Trondheim Symphony Orchestra for over 40 years when he retired. That's a long time. Like he was when they first put the symphony orchestra together. He was there because it used to be like a smaller orchestra. Trondheim didn't really have a full orchestra, so he was there when they first started.
Wow!
And, so I was so used to going to concerts and seeing symphonies and operas and ballets and whatnot, and it made sense for me to play violin because I basically picked up a violin and just had the talent for it right away. So it made sense. It was just there, and and early on I was offered to play on television just because of my talent. I said no. I was like, no, I don't want to be famous for this. I was 10 years old.
What was it about the violin that you kind of tuned into? Was it just making the sound from the strings and melodies, and or because you also played piano too, because your mother played piano, is that right?
That's correct. And so that was kind of my bigger brother. He ended up playing piano, so we were both. I played violin, he played piano, and I played piano too. Even though he actually had a piano teacher, unlike me, who I learned everything on my own for the most part.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
But I did take violin lessons, so that's how I learned how to read and I guess you could say write music, and learn all the symbols and everything, and all the scales and which is a lot of stuff. And I learned that at an early age. I was about 7 when I started, so I just got that sort of early just education from music, but it was classical. And eventually, when I discovered rock and roll, I wanted to. Well, first I wanted to play drums, and then I wanted to play guitar because I like melodies. I think that particularly a guitar, but when I started on the violin, it was nice to be able to play melodies and play something that, in some cases, something that was written 300 years ago. I mean, it's amazing that music can be kept alive for that long. Not even because it's on a recording, but because you're playing it. You're doing it. You're playing something that was created centuries ago. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah. And classical music really is the basis of all music.
It is. Absolutely.
It's really a good basis to have. Now, for everyone watching, you're watching If These Walls Could Talk with hosts Wendy, Stuart, and Tim Moss. And the reason that my hair is all over the place today is I am rocking out. This is my rock look for our Rockstar guest, Rocky Kramer, who can be found at rockykramer.com. Now, in Norway, because I don't know Norway that much, were you kind of in the south or the north, or what part?
Well, what's funny is that Norway is kind of shaped like a guitar. So if you think about this, a big section at the bottom, and then there's a long one, and then there's kind of a thicker thing at the top. You can say that's the stock. You got the neck, and then the body of the guitar. I'm right where it goes from being kind of fat to being thin.
Okay.
And it's the third largest city. It's called Trondheim, which I said earlier. And when I said largest, it's really, compared to American standards, it's pretty small. It's only about 200,000. And I think when I grew up, it was down around 150,000 or so. So it's not a lot of people, and people are kind of spread out. So it's you never feel like you're like, I would imagine in New York, you're always kind of, people are everywhere.
We're on top of each other here.
Right. Well, I mean, you are. I mean, the buildings are high. That's not the mentality of Norway at all. Everything's kind of spread out, which you could argue LA is a little bit like that too, because LA is kind of stretched out like a pancake or a pizza. But just in Norway, there's a lot less people, and so it's there's not a lot of traffic or anything like that. You don't feel like you're running into people everywhere, which might be good. You don't necessarily want to.
Interesting to go from a place like Norway, and then you're in LA. Now, I have a question. We hear all the time about crossover artists. Is it considered a desirable thing if you are from Norway or any of the Scandinavian countries to relocate to LA to really make your music career happen? Is that something that you think you have to do?
I decided that that's what I thought I had to do, and I think that it is important to maybe most people. The Norwegian music scene, at least the people that are very successful, that are like the household names, they tend to be a certain type of artist that is more. It's almost like it's more in the pop, like a certain style of pop. And if you're doing that, it's great. And you kind of have a career for life, because the Norwegian artists, they stick around. They don't go anywhere, and that's nice. But it's hard to get into that market. So LA is more open to kind of I guess more rock and those things. Not saying that there isn't any Norwegian rock. There's a lot of it, and Norway is actually very famous for its Norwegian black metal, which I'm sure both of you are really into.
Yeah.
But
I've heard of it.
It's actually internationally speaking, it is a big thing. It is like Norwegian black metal is like it's a thing, and it's amazing, but it's not really something that I've ever really listened to, even though I'm quite familiar with it. That wasn't really my thing either. So that wasn't really, even though I had a lot of friends that were into it. So being more into sort of 80s rock and trying to sort of bring back the 80s sort of, I thought that the place where the 80s really happened was LA. Like LA is
right.
The 80s might still be happening, if you know what I mean. Like there's a lot of bands that are still living that 80s rock and roll dream. So I thought that
LA was kind of known for that in the 80s, for music. So I'm sorry, I just kind of want to go back again to when you said 7, or you picked up the violin, and you had your father, who was basically a master at the time of the violin. So he would teach you the violin.
No, actually, a little bit. I had like a few lessons with him, but I actually ended up I had a couple of violin teachers over the years. So I guess probably because he didn't want to be the teacher, you know what I mean? Like when you're a parent, maybe you just want to say, I'm going to have somebody else.
Rocky, it's like teaching your kid to drive a car. You don't want to do that. You end up killing each other.
Get a driving instructor, please. I don't want to die.
And I also love that you had 2 pianos. You had an upstairs piano and a downstairs piano. That was your mother?
Yeah. So when my parents moved in together, they both had a piano, and I mean, my mother was a piano teacher, so it made sense for them to actually keep both, because they both wanted to play piano, and they are actually 2 different types of pianos. So they have a different tone. So you could argue that they're both valuable, and it allows 2 people to practice piano at the same time.
That's a good point, right? Right. You don't have to fight over sharing that piano when you have to like that.
Now, sadly, your mother had passed away when you were fairly young, correct?
Yeah. I was 5 years old. She had breast cancer, and that was a tough time, both before and after.
Right.
And it was right around the time that we were going, or my brother and I were starting school and all of those things. I guess my brother had already been going to school for a couple of years, and I just started kindergarten, and it was just kind of it was a tough time, and we kind of, I guess because we had the 3 of us, we kind of got through it together.
A unit.
Better than it would have been just one, you know what I mean? So we kind of we hung in there together.
Yeah.
Did you have strong grandparents around at the time that could support you?
Well, if I'm going to be completely honest, a lot of deaths in my family. On my father's side, my grandfather passed away when I was 1, and then grandmother passed away, who was quite. She was in a tough. She got hit by a car. She went to Spain. She got hit by a car.
Oh my God!
And she was actually not fully capable of functioning. So
goodness,
it was a tough time. She basically just watched TV all day, and she's it wasn't you couldn't really talk to her. It was tough.
Right.
And she passed away 2 years after my mom passed away. So there's a lot of stuff going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was really on my mother's side that they hung around at least for a few more years. But unfortunately, I lost all my grandparents before I was 18.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
But at least they were around that time after my mom passed away, because it was at least some connection. Of course, they have, they had more children. So I have uncles and aunts that I can, talk to.
Do you think having lost starting at such a young age, this is something I think about because I remember being a little kid and worrying about my mother dying, that would be the worst thing. And I've met a number of artists that have experienced that. Do you think that influenced where you ended up going with your music and to be creative at really such a young age?
Yeah.
Right. I think it was probably, it left a void that I was always trying to fill. And I think that music was always doing that because music is so, there's so much expression and you can really bring out emotion and almost capture emotion, the emotion that you're feeling by playing and writing. So that's really why I really started writing music. And I did that since I was 11 because it made so much sense to me to kind of capture it instead of having a diary or a journal where you're kind of writing down your thoughts with words or your experiences with words. To try to more write it down with music, and then of course with lyrics. And not everything is instrumental, but I do write a lot of things that are just kind of, it's the music, it's the melody that brings it out. So.
Yeah. Well, you're watching If These Walls Could Talk with hosts Wendy Stuart and Tim Moss, and our guest is the incredible Rockstar. I mean, rock is in his name, Rocky Kramer.
Great.
Find out more about him at rockykramer.com, and that's why I'm in my rock and roll look here. So you grew up with a classical bass with your father and the violin, and what do you remember when you first heard rock music and what happened?
I think the first, there's two memories that are kind of very distinct, like first rock moments for me. One was that I had a neighbor that had a Kiss cassette, and I'm a huge Kiss fan, and this is how it started.
And I knew Simmons.
The first.
Oh, okay, really? Okay, yeah. So I know everything Kiss. Like that's I've been sort of a big part of my life. And
the first rock concert that I ever attended was Kiss.
Ooh, what year? Do you remember? What tour?
77 or 78, I think.
Okay, like the Love Gun tour.
Alive 75.
Wow, yeah.
Rocky, you weren't even on the earth when Tim and I were going to Kiss concerts, but I love that you've gone from like classical violin. I mean, Kiss, even, when I was younger, they were always and still are outrageous, bigger than life. It was such a performance. So what was the attraction to Kiss?
And what's interesting is that my first experience with them was the Dynasty cassette. And if you know the cover of Dynasty, it's basically just got their faces on it. It's just the four guys with the makeup. And the first song is "I Was Made for Loving You," which was kind of a different sound.
I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving you. Sing along.
That's the one. But I just particularly after I remember getting a few VHSs that had footage of them playing live, and it was from the 70s. And it was mind blowing. Like I remember seeing the smoke coming out of Ace's guitar. I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I was blown away. So it was almost, to me, like Kiss is like the Star Wars of rock and roll. Like it's so visual and it's cool to look at, and it's like explosions and everything. It's a really amazing experience. And
it's not only music that moves your soul, but visually and it's just so much stimuli. I agree.
Yeah. Right, exactly. It's so much fun. So that really got me going. And I want to mention the other moment, which is it's a Norwegian moment. So you may not remember this band, but they were called TNT. And they had a song called 10,000 Lovers in One, which that was their biggest hit. They had Tony Harnell on vocals, who is from New York. But they're the biggest rock band in Norway. And I was, this is because of my dad. They were celebrating Trondheim being 1,000 years old. Now that's a lot, right? 1,000 years old. 997 is when it was established. That's
amazing.
Oh my God.
So they're celebrating that. It's a New Year's concert, and I didn't get to go to the concert, but I was able to go to the dress rehearsal, and that's the first time I ever saw a rock band perform. And they had, you know, the fog, the dry ice, and everything, and it's on the floor, and it's like, oh my God, what is this? Where am I? Like, this is so cool. And that was like, okay, I want to do this. I knew it was the coolest thing, and they were just like, you know, doing a dress rehearsal, and it was amazing. It was really fun to watch.
Rocky, in your live concerts, because I've never gotten to see you live, and I hope that I do someday. Have you used any of the what do they call that, Tim? Pyrotechnics?
Pyrotechnics,
or the smoke, or tell me what you do.
Really from an early age, because I was a Kiss fan, I would go to usually like Toys R Us or any toy store, and they would have the lights, and I remember bought a fog machine, which I thought was the dry ice. But I thought a fog machine. I opened it up. It was for Christmas. I opened it up and I smoked my entire room. And
yes, yes.
And the smoke detector went off, and it was but it was fun. But we used that for shows. I would bring that for the show, so we would play for the whole school. And I would have a friend of mine. He would trigger the smoke machine or the fog machine, and all of a sudden they'd be like, oh my God. And I would have these little pirate. I think you put them on cakes, but it's like kind of like a tube that's maybe like this big. Yeah. And it sort of shoots like sparkling something. And I would put it on the whammy bar, and I would kind of swing it like this, and it would kind of spray around like it looked really cool. And like I would do anything to create a spectacle of some sort. So I was always into the Kiss and all the Kiss, ideology of.
Well, my next question is, again, once you discovered rock and roll, what did your father think of that, coming from a classical background?
That's a good question. And what's funny is that about this one, my brother was the first one to get a guitar, and he got an acoustic guitar, it was shortly after my mom passed away. So it was. I'm not going to say it was like a replacement type of gift, but it was kind of maybe like this will keep your mind at something else.
Exactly.
So he got a guitar, and then I said, "Well, I want a guitar too." And my dad said, "No, you're a violinist. You're going to play the violin." So I was like, but I want to." So I would basically just go to my brother's room and borrow his guitar, and whenever he would say, "Can I have my guitar back?" I would say, okay, you can have it back. But I would always take it back, an hour later. It's like, give it back to me. That's mine. But eventually I saved up enough money to buy my own guitar, and I bought an electric guitar. That's impressive.
Wow.
And I was probably one of the very few kids that would do that, because usually it's, you ask your parents for it. Instead, I didn't tell my dad, and I said, look what I bought. He was not happy about that. It's like,
that's such a great story, like to share with young musicians. You went and did it on your own. That's really impressive.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, if you want to make things happen, you got to do it on your own. And that's the same thing I did. I moved to LA on my own. I went here by myself. I didn't know anybody here, and that's kind of sometimes you just have to start with nothing to have something.
Yeah.
Now, starting in LA, I'm curious. You had to start auditioning band members and everything. You had to start from scratch, really.
Absolutely, everything, and it wasn't easy because my music is progressive rock. The album is a concept album, and it's called Firestorm. And it wasn't easy to find the right people, even though we auditioned a lot of people, and a lot of people wanted to play it, and. A lot, when we auditioned drummers, we had, a lot of drummers that probably could have done it, and it would have been fine. But we found one guy that was really good, and he was Alejandro Mercado. He was great, and he had a great attitude. It was just like, it made sense. And he brought in the bass player, Michael Dwyer, who was teaching at NY, and Alejandro was a student there, so they knew each other. So he asked them, and he was
sweet. Because that's always cool when the creative forces come together like that.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I'd like to do right now, if we can, we have the video of Rockstar, because I'm a rock star. And if you don't mind, if we can play that, and then we'll come back, we'll talk about that. But one thing I want to say about you is that there are musicians and artists that are just born to be something. Yeah. And you were born to be a guitarist and a performer. From the videos that I have seen of you, I love watching you play guitar, because you feel that to the depths of your soul. You know what I mean? Like when you're singing, I see that. That's who you are.
It's deep. It's way in deep.
Yeah, from your up to your head, you're just there. You're in it.
Thank you. Yeah, music has always been very important to me, and I'm sure it will be till the day I die.
Yeah, and this video is so cute. So
I have a question for you after the video, but first the video, because
let's take a look at Rockstar. How about that?
Oh, man. I hate school.
Class, the bell has rung. Everybody come in and take your seats. I said to take your seats. This applies to you too, Mr. Kramer. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm fed up with the shenanigans and the screwing around. Time to put on your thinking caps. Mr. Kramer, sit down.
My body's like a milkshake. My mind is like a cake. I can't get out of this prison cell. I wake up every day in my own hell. I wanna get away. Cause I won't be the one that you wanted to be. Yes, I'm a rock star with style. Yes, I'm a rock star in leather. Baby, I'm a rock star. So wild. It's far out. But I'm a rock star. Behave. Yes, I'm a rock star. Baby, I'm a rock star. Full of wicked. It's far out. I don't know what to do. I am leaving you. I'm ready for the show, and you better stay low. It's hot and thick in my heart and soul. All night long, play rock and roll. You better get away. Cause I am a ticking bomb. Yes, I'm a rock star with style. Yes, I'm a rock star in leather. Baby, I'm a rock star. So wild, it's far out. Well, I'm a rock star. Big head. Yes, I'm a rock star. No more. Baby, I'm a rock star. Full of wicked. It's far out. I don't know what to do. when I'm high, I still feel very low. Broad daylight, there's no sun. Oh no, but all the nights are fun. Ooh yeah. Ooh yeah. Hey, what you wanna do? 'Cause in the darkness we are one. Hey, what you wanna do? 'Cause in the darkness we are one. And we're gonna have some fun. Yes, we're gonna have some fun.
Class dismissed. Well, somebody's a snoozing. Well, it's time to wake up, Mr. Kramer. Class is over!
There you go.
Oh my gosh, that was so fun.
Who played the teacher?
The teacher is Brandon Shepard, who basically, if you want to know the story, he had a teacher in school that this is pretty much based on, that the teacher is. And when we were going to do the music video, we thought maybe he should play, because he did the voice on the album. So we figured maybe he'll just play the teacher. So he loved it. He had a great time.
Genius casting. Now I'm curious, why did you make yourself an animated figure? Why did you make yourself a cartoon character?
That is really because we were talking about the longevity of hiring a child actor at 13, and then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, or 5 years later, they're 18 and they're fully grown and all that. So we thought that if we take a little Rocky animated character, we can have that character for life, and we can also use that character for other things. And we've been talking about a TV show, and it could be a movie. It could be we can use Little Rocky in other music videos. We can use Little Rocky for merchandise, and we can have T-shirts and little dolls, little Rocky dolls, and all those things. Cool. And it's ageless, and that's why it made more sense, because we actually originally we did audition real people, and I can show you pictures of them, but and that would have worked too. But we just thought it would have been more interesting and maybe more unique if there's an animated character in a live action music video. So because
I thought maybe it was because you felt like you were different than the other kids.
Right, I did too, Tim. I thought that too.
I like that interpretation. I love that. That's great. And also want to point out, because the video is a teenage version of me dreaming about being a rock star. We want to be clear that that this isn't real. It's not in real time. It's not me saying like an arrogant rock star saying I'm a rock star. It is saying like I want to be a rock star.
Dreaming of being
in the future. That's what
in the future. I did read that in one of your other interviews that you had, and I thought that's it's very cool that you want people to know that you're very humble about it, and that
it's important, because
it's important. That's a great thing.
Absolutely.
I think there's always a lot of ego in this business, so I want to make sure that people know that my intentions are correct, because it's sometimes people get it wrong when they hear the song the first time. And when we were first promoting it, we would get comments about that, saying, well, if you have to say you're a rock star, you're not really a rock star. Well, can you please hear the whole song first? Listen to the whole album
on it, right?
Absolutely. Now you're watching If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts Wendy, Stuart, and Tim Moss, and our incredible rock star guest, literal rock star, Rocky Kramer. And you can find out more about him at rockykramer.com.
So, Rocky, how have you been dealing with the pandemic? I know you did a Hanson Christmas special.
That was great.
Yeah. How have you been dealing with this?
Well, I've been doing two things. One of them, which I actually started doing before the pandemic, was I started making covers. So it takes me about a month to make one, but I record everything myself. Everything is done, in this house and in this beautiful rehearsal facility and recording studio. And then I make a video, and it's sort of every time I make one, I kind of, you always learn something, so it kind of progresses into something that's better. Yeah. And it started out pretty simple with just just my phone filming myself performing, and then started bringing in better cameras. It got really good professional cameras and green screen and all those things. So it's kind of make it more interesting. The other thing that it has been something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I haven't, and this was a perfect opportunity, which is streaming. And I've been on Twitch since April, and I do a weekly show called Rock and Roll Tuesdays. Sweet. And the whole point of it is to kind of give you an opportunity to basically rock out for 2 hours at home, in your living room. Or in your bed. You can be in your bed with your phone and and rock out, which is basically one of the very few ways to do it now. You're getting live music. Everything is live. It's me playing guitar and I sing and I take requests and we have a lot of fun with it. And it's actually, my worry is always, if I'm not playing shows, I'm not developing fans. And this is sort of a very nice alternative because people come in from all over the world, or at least people that are awake at that hour, which some areas aren't, obviously. But we get people from South America and Canada and all over the US, and sometimes from Europe too, even though it's a little late for Europe. But I've had people come in from Norway, and for them, it starts at 4 a.m.
4 a.m.
So, right. A little late, but
that's commitment. I like that.
Hey, it's commitment. So it's fun, and it's growing, and it's there's always new people. So it's been a fun experience, and it keeps me working hard, because otherwise I would just be sitting at home, playing video games all day, right? So I want to make sure that I'm staying busy by both performing live, which means I have to be in good shape, both musically and physically and mentally. And then doing the covers is kind of just a way of me sort of paying tributes to the artists that I was inspired by growing up or more recently. And is a nice thing too. And it kind of is it's more about making something that is more, produced than when you're doing something live. You either get it right or you don't, and then you move on.
Right.
When you can record 20 takes, you can get it right. You kind of do everything. So,
but what's so cool about using the pandemic the way you are, I'm thinking about what you're saying. You are really building a fan base.
Absolutely.
You're reaching people that you might not have reached before, and that is what streaming is all about. Like, you have your studio there. Tim is on his couch. I'm on my couch, and I keep, longing to be like in a studio where like you came on for real,
Oh, I can't wait.
That would be so much fun.
It would be so much fun, but guess
and
what?
Then we could have you play.
We could do air guitar together and everything, but you know what? We can do all that on here. And we can reach a lot of people that we might not normally reach. So it's really, really a great way to use it.
One thing I want to say to you, Rocky, and thank you.
Thank you.
Guitar solos. I love your guitar solos. I miss guitar solos. That's something that this generation right now, you just wail on that. And oh my God, you make that guitar sing from the soul. I love those.
Thank you so much. That's actually one of the things that every time I make a cover, I try to fit in even the songs that don't have a guitar solo. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put a guitar solo in it, and it's going to be something cool, and that's important. And but I love guitar, and it always just felt like when I play guitar, it's just it's a part of me. I play music. It makes sense. I don't feel that way about a lot of other instruments, so that's why it's just always been important for me to make sure that people know that the guitar is near and dear.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of the episode. I am loving chatting with you. We're going to have you back on again sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to say about your career or something that we might not have touched on?
I think that maybe right now, just make sure you follow me on Twitch. It's pretty simple. It's just Rocky Kramer in one word. So you can just go to rockykramer.com. There's links to everything. Yeah. Follow me, and that's always
your website. Your website as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. The website, rockykramer.com is always good. It's got links to everything, so that's a good one.
Great. Great.
Well, dude, this was so cool. So cool. We are so grateful that you came on and we got a chance to kind of chat and get to know you a little better. You've got definitely a new fan in me.
Yeah, and a new fan in me. And I want you to know Tim did his hair special for you today.
Yeah, so. Thank you. And I want to say, like, every time I see him like fixing his hair, it brings me back to when I was 13 and I had my hair kind of like that. It was kind of like this length. And I kept like doing this in school. I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Well, normally it's very blown dry and imperfect. Yeah.
Very rock and roll.
This is a great change of pace. I had a wonderful time here today.
We loved rocking out with you today, Rob. Yes. Thanks so much, really.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep following your heart and letting your heart lead, because it's leading you into big and great things. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
All right. Well, from Tim Moss
and Wendy Stuart
and Rocky Kramer, we say thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.